Yeah, I think we can just get it started, and then if other speakers show up, then hopefully their mic work. Their mic works. So let's get it started. Kyle, you ready to record too? And maybe Slim as a backup. Third backup.
Hello.
Hey,
Yeah,
Liam.
I'm ready too.
Good. Yeah, okay. Sorry about that.
No worries. Kyle, is your recording running too?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let's get it started, guys. Hello, everyone. My name is Colson. I'm a graph advocate and a member of AdvocatesDAO. I'm happy to host this community talk, and I would like to welcome you all to the last community talk of 2022. We have an amazing lineup of graph community members that will speak on several updates in the ecosystem. And before we start off this community talk, I would really like to thank all of the graph advocates that helped out with the preparation of this call. We will start off this call with the last community updates, followed by several in-depth segments, including Liam Doyle, who will speak about the GRTDataHub Chatbot, Pranav, who will speak about ETHIndia and Polygon Connect, Reem, who would talk about Wave 7 and 8 grants, but she's not able to because she's in Dubai and they blocked Discord, so we will figure that part out. Gabriel Gonzalez, who will speak about a bootcamp in Buenos Aires, where graph advocates work together with Protofire. And then we will end off the call with Christina Mills, who will give us a recap of the achievements of Graph AdvocateSDAO in 2022. So before we get into the in-depth segments, let's jump into the community updates. We will start off by speaking about the Graph birthday parties that happened last week. To celebrate the 2-year anniversary of this decentralized network, community members of the Graph hosted 6 birthday parties all over the world and hosted a Twitter space. The first party that we would like to cover is the one that happened in Lagos, Nigeria, hosted by Chidubem Okeke. Chidubem, how was that event in Lagos?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the event went very well. We started off by giving an overview of what the graph is and how it's positioned in Web3. And then after that, we proceeded to play games. We had a lot of fun. A lot of the advocates were there to make it happen. They all helped, like Jerry, Ben, Charles, so all the advocates in Nigeria, I think Ben and Charles, they're not even in Lagos, but they came from other states. So all the advocates came together to make it work, and it went very well. We had a lot of fun, and then I think we rounded it off by celebrating going through the milestones that the graph has achieved over the last 2 years. So it went very well.
Very nice. I looked at the pictures and it looked really, really fun. So hopefully I can be there next year as well. The second party that we would like to cover is, Shibidam Kuchumut, thank you, is the one that happened in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, hosted by Ahmad Merdani, but I don't think Ahmad is here right now. Is there anybody else here that went to the graph party in Dubai? All right, then we will skip this one. But looking at the pictures and looking at the videos that were shared on Twitter and by Ahmad, it looked really, really fun. So that was also a really good one. The third birthday party I would like to cover was the one that happened in Buenos Aires, Argentina, hosted by Lorena Fabres. Lorena, how was your event?
Hi, Colson. Thank you so much for having me here. Well, on December 17, we celebrate the Graph Network anniversary in Buenos Aires, and was a great opportunity to meet with many people in the community and with many members of the ecosystem. We had some presentations and networking. Juan from GrabNode talked about core devs, Brian Leiva from Protofy explained indexers and MIP program, Jorgeline Chavarria, who is advocate, explained all related with AdvocatesDAO, and I have the opportunity to explain grant programs in the graph ecosystem. So it was a very interesting presentations, and it was a very interesting way to join with different members of the ecosystem. So really, it's a good opportunity. This opportunity to meet with people at least once a year. It's great. It's great to know more about the ecosystem. I share many photos and video, and I will share with you if you have the opportunity with to share with all the ecosystem will be great.
Yeah, sure. I think we will do a recap of all of the events in the upcoming weeks. So I'm sure everybody will be able to see all of the amazing pictures from Buenos Aires and all of the other birthday parties. So I think that will be good. All right, the fourth birthday party I would like to cover is the one that happened in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, hosted by myself. I had a great time meeting all the community members from the Graph ecosystem. Because it was the only one in Europe, we had a really great turnout from a lot of places, including San Francisco, Belgium, Germany, Italy, Norway, Romania, Lithuania, and of course my own country, the Netherlands. We had a really great time, had some good food, had some nice drinks, and we made a lot of plans to strengthen the graph community in the western part of Europe in 2023, especially around Holland. So that includes Belgium and France and Germany as well. So it was really, really nice to meet everyone, and especially the people that I'd never seen before. Some of them I worked with for over 2 years, and events like this, as Lorena just said, it's such a great place to meet and make new plans. It was just all over a very nice experience meeting all of my graph friends again. So the last two parties I would like to cover are the ones in Singapore and the one in San Francisco. I believe for Singapore, we might have Jim from AdvocatesDAO here to talk about it. I see Jim unmuted, but I cannot hear you yet, Jim. All right, we will give Jim a couple of minutes to hopefully figure out how to unmute his mic. Maybe it's something with the settings. I would like to invite Kyle LaRue to talk about the event in San Francisco. No worries, Jim.
Thanks, Colson. Yeah, it was a ton of fun. I think there were about over 200 people there, and it was the third event at the House of Web3, which has been recently launched by EtHIndia. And I gotta say, having been on like the West Coast, we were the last event to happen on the Graph birthday, and it was so exciting, and I got a ton of energy like seeing all the events before us launch. So yeah, it was a great time. A ton of builders. Everyone seems to be just like powering right through this bear market. So yeah, it was great to meet new people and catch up with people who I've already seen at EtHIndia or at the House of Web3.
Awesome. I think Jim has some troubles with his microphone, but I believe Pranav was also there. Pranav, if you don't mind, would you like to share something about that event?
Hey, sure. So I was in Singapore to celebrate the Graph's birthday. It was, I think, the second event that the Graph was doing in Asia, like the second birthday after Dubai that we were doing. And I would say they were really close community members of the Graph that I found there. There I also met Jim, who explained about his journey from being a Web2 developer to becoming a Web3 smart contract developer, plus joining the Graph Advocates DAO and what it means to him in general. A lot of people who really got inspired, and I would say I met a lot of Web3 friends over there who are in the Web3 space for a long time and have been loving the Graph for what it is and what it does. And I think in general, Singapore is one of the great places in Asia where a lot of Web3 scenes have been happening, and to find really good number of VCs uh, plus projects like Galax, as well as me myself going there. It was a great ball because in total we had a 1.5 hours of speaking session in which we talked about, like I talked about the graph, then Jim talked about the graph advocates, then the Galax team talked about how they use the graph, and in general it was a closing end of how you can be a part of the graph. So it was a whole rounded event, and I think everybody was amazed to see the adoption that the Graph network has been having. And hopefully the team always encouraged me, all the people in the Singapore ecosystem, like really encouraged what we were doing with the Graph birthday party, and we're looking forward to having more such community events hosted by the Graph in Singapore.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Pranav. Jim, does your mic work now or no?
Right? Can you hear me now?
Hey, yeah, awesome. Could you tell me a little bit of the presentation you did?
Yeah, I share how I got involved in the graph. From the beginning, I learned about the graph about 2 years ago, like just like the the birth of the graph. Yeah, so I share how I learn the DeFi, CeFi, and start to use the Graph API and from the hosted service and to the decentralized network. And I also share the experience about uh, how to learn Web3 to the because there are so many people are in the Web2 industry, and I tell I tell them, yeah, don't be afraid about I am not ready to join the DAO. You just need a passion about learning Web3, and you can, yeah, just like apply to the advocates program, or you can feel free to ex ask everyone in the community to uh, learn what you want to learn. And yeah, because we can, yeah, share the information and patient each other, and we can be more, yeah, each make each other stronger, yeah, together. And also many people are from the, yeah, like the exchange, like the Bybit, or some platform like the Web3 job. Yeah, so we talked about after the presentation, we, yeah, talk each other about maybe 3 hours. Yeah, so yeah, the I think the afternoon is not enough for us to talk what we want to talk, but yeah, I am feel, yeah, very excited about I have, yeah, go to Singapore to join this event. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, that last line really was this game case in Amsterdam too. We had the event till 9 p.m. and at like 8:30, everyone was like, "Oh no, we want to keep talking," but unfortunately, it had to end sometime. So hopefully we can meet each other again, and hopefully you guys in Singapore can do the same thing. So thank you so much, Jim and Pranav, for sharing that, and thank you to everybody else as well that shared about their birthday parties. So before we had those birthday parties, we kicked off the festivities off with a Twitter space hosted by Nick Hansen. The Twitter space had an amazing lineup of speakers from a lot of the core developer teams, and I'm sure I'm going to forget some of them, but some of the speakers include Ivo Balin, Simon Schmidt, Chris Wessels, Alexandre Bourget, Sam Green, and many others. And a link to this great Twitter space will be provided in the chat and the description of this recording. And so will all of the other links of all of the topics that we were speaking about today. So if you would like to find out more about any of the topics, please pay attention to the chat or to the meeting notes later on. So after the overview of these birthday events, I'm happy to share with everybody that the first Gnosis subgraph has migrated to the decentralized network. Welcome Connect. Connect is built Web3's first fully trust-minimized cross-chain communication protocol, making blockchains more interoperable and composable. So it's truly amazing to see that that first subgraph of Gnosis chain has migrated to the decentralized network, and I'm sure there will be many, many more to come. So as we've done in many community talks before, we would like to share some of the new episodes of Graph-focused podcast. The first one that I would like to share was the Block Hash podcast about indexing blockchain data with the graph. Kyle Rojas was on that one. And then we also have a lot of new GRTIQ episodes. We will post the general GRTIQ link here because there was a lot of new ones and a lot of links, but I will give you a small overview. So there was number 91 with Suhail, who is a developer advocate engineer at LifeBear. Then we had 92 with Noel Becker Moreno, marketing lead in Edge and Node. Number 93 with Colin O'Brien, marketing manager at Rubik, which is a multi-chain DeFi ecosystem. We had 94 with Sergey, co-founder of the 1inch Network. We had 95 with Alex, who is a graph advocate and a member of GRTDataHub and IndexerDAO. And those are all of the new GRTIQ podcasts. Then we had a couple more ecosystem updates. We had this month in curation that was uploaded by Slim Chance on the Graph forum. And there's also a couple of updates from the core dev teams that have been shared on the forum by GraphOps, Streaming Fast, and Semiotic Labs. So very nice to see, and I would definitely recommend everybody to check those out. As the last community update, I would like to invite Juliana of AdvocatesDAO to talk about the language contribution of Graph Advocates and the upcoming plans for increasing language support in the Graph ecosystem.
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you, Colson. So, since the beginning of the Advocates program, we have translated more than 338,000 words of different texts across various platforms, including the Graph website, which we started translating in September this year. And we have now 2 languages for which the translation is almost completed. And these are Japanese with 97% completion rate and Urdu with 99 completion, being at the same time the language with the highest proofreading rate of 74% so far. After the translation of these languages is fully completed and all the content is reviewed, the new language versions will be available on the Graph website. Another exciting thing happened this month, and it is kicking off with the language support for languages like Dutch, Spanish, Ukrainian, and Russian, allowing advocates to take more extensive and prominent role in supporting language communities in their own native languages, welcoming more people to the space and hopefully to the Advocates program as well. We plan to add some new languages every month. So next month we will add French, German, and Urdu. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Juliana. Speaking on the language support team, if you are now hearing a lot of languages and you don't hear yours yet, please feel free to reach out to us in the AdvocatesDAO Discord server to check if we can also start supporting your language as well. So once again, thank you, Juliana, for that update. And I would like to go forward with the first in-depth segment of today. So for the first in-depth segment of this community talk, I would like to invite Liam Doyle of the GRTDataHub Chatbot to share updates and future plans for the chatbot.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen from another account because unfortunately my laptop is playing up, so I've had to join on my mobile as well as my laptop. Has that worked? Is everyone able to?
It is loading for me. I'm not sure about the others.
Yep, same here.
Yep, just okay. So bear with me. If it doesn't, please someone just interrupt. So I'll be waffling on. So yeah, thank you for having me here. I think this is the first time I've actually been in one of these big community talks, so it's nice to see some familiar faces. See some people that I've not actually managed to speak to yet. Okay, so yes, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the GRTDataHub Chatbot. By now, I'm sure most people within this chat that I've spoken to about it know what it is, what it does, my sort of plans for the future. But for those that don't, I'll just sort of introduce you to it and my sort of plan for the future. So obviously, this is within the GRTDataHub app that shows all the data for the on-chain, the graph. And then within that, I have my own little community. Me and Andy from the Graph Germany. I'm sure most of you know Andy by now with his amazing content. We sort of started this little group where we invite community admins in, ask them if they want the data provided to their community. Very inclusive. Don't say no to anybody. A lot of good people within that chat. A lot of people have helped me out over the time. So I'm just going to jump over to the chatbot. So I'm on my laptop here. So there's a little icon within the app. It's the same within mobile. And then once you do, you come over to this page. As you can see, it's currently...
I don't think we can see because it's not sharing, or maybe I'm the only one that can't see.
How is that for you?
It doesn't load for me, but maybe you can explain what the chatbot does and how it's used.
Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm doing it on the live app. So everything that I'm talking about now, everything that I'll be going through is on the live app. So if you want to go over there in the next sort of half an hour and have a look for yourself, then that's great. So within the app, like I said, there's the chatbot. So at the minute, there is 2 on there that are live, which is the English and the German one. You'll also notice that I've already added the Spanish, French, and Turkish chatbots within there. You won't be able to access them because the links are disabled. That's just more for me for when I'm building them, just so I know that it's already there implemented. Andy has helped a lot with building this feature. A lot of testing during the initial phases. We've got quite a good relationship, so anything that he feels like won't work or is quite difficult to the user, he'll let me know straight away. So for me, building this chatbot, it's more to help the community out. So like you guys were saying about the birthday celebrations recently, just from going within the chatbot, like right now, even if you typed in birthday celebrations, I've already added all of the 6 events that have been on there. As the content comes rolling in, like for example, Ahmed's recent ones via Twitter, you can already go on there and you can already find them for each event. So you don't have to sort of go around yourself, go around the houses. They're all in one place. This chatbot's not just for people who have known about the graph for a while, it's also for newcomers. So to help people on board for delegating an example, there's all the tutorial guides within there, video and text. A lot of them are provided from the Graphjonauts. I'm sure everyone in here knows who they are by now. Some great content, some great tutorials comes out of that community. Very lucky to have joined them early on within my sort of Web3 journey.
Can I ask you a question? Those guides, are they in English right now, and will they be translated to all the other languages that the chatbot supports?
Yeah, so currently, a lot of the guides in the English chatbot are within English. Lorena from the Spanish community, she's done her own guides. So for the Spanish chatbot, I substituted a lot of them for the ones that have already been made. However, within the app, if you do go to click on a guide and I've realised that it hasn't been translated, I think, for example, there was a Coinbase wallet staking one that the Graphjonauts had done that hadn't been translated to German. So if you were to click on that within the German chatbot, it would take you to a link within the app, and that's all. I translated that, and Andy proofread that. So there's a few bits in there that we've done in-house. The French chatbot, Constantine, is... sorry if I get any of these names wrong, by the way. He's currently checking through that one, so that should, within the next week or so, that should be live. And same again, Georgelina within the Spanish community has been helping Lorena to do the translations for that. So it's all coming together. A new feature that's been added is the buttons. So within any of the chatbots, within the respective language, if you just type in help, it'll come up with the buttons within there. So for example, if I were to click on community now, it'll then come up with another drop down with Discord, Telegram, Twitter, GraphNauts community, you've got Graph Day 22, Graph Social, Graph Advocates, it's all in there. And you can find pretty much within 3 or 4 clicks exactly what you want to do with all the links provided.
Very nice. So language support included as well. Amazing. Thank you so much for presenting. We will share the link to the GRTDataHub Chatbot in the chat room and in the show notes. So if you would like to play with it yourself or check it out, feel free to do so. Thank you so much for coming on, Liam.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thank you.
All right. For the next segment, I would like to invite Pranav, one of the engineers working on the Graph protocol, to talk about ETHIndia, Polygon Connects, and Polygon being the next chain coming to the Graph network. Pranav, would you like to tell us about it?
All right. So thanks for inviting me to talk about what we did in ETHIndia and about the graph in general. So basically, ETHIndia happened in December of first week, and the graph was one of the sponsors. And before I tell you about the event, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the Indian community and the graph and its position in India in general, what I feel in my opinion. And basically, what I think is that India is one of the hotspots for all the Web3 devs. And I feel that all the top projects that exist in Web3 at least have an engineer coming out of India, or the whole founding team, one of the person has been an Indian. So in general, the Indian Web3 community is like quite big, and I would say there are a lot of quality devs that have been coming out of India and making Web3 scenes happen to the world. And people of India honestly love Ethereum, Solana, Polygon, and all these chains, and the infrastructure that's built on it. So by default, the Indians in general have a very good the graph community, and many of them have been subgraph developers or advocates. Two of them also accommodated us in the ETHIndia event and were also at the booth and did a really great job. So really want to shout out to them for being there. But in general, a little bit about the side events that we did in ETHIndia. Were the 021 DApp conference that was co-organized between the Graph EPNS and Router protocol, in which it was one day before ETHIndia, and a lot of people got onboarded to learning about subgraphs so that in ETHIndia hackathon they can go ahead and hack. And I was amazed to see the response that we saw in that particular side event. Also, it was on the 30th. On the 1st, there was a Polygon Connects that happened, and it was one of the biggest, I would say, side events with about 2,000, 3,000 attendees, and there in Bangalore. And there is where I officially announced that the Graph network is expanding and going more multi-cross chain, and Polygon will be the next chain which will be integrated on the Graph network. What that means is that eventually in the coming days, after Gnosis chain, and as the first subgraph has been deployed on Gnosis chain, indexers will ramp up with the MIF program, and eventually after Gnosis chain migration has been completed or has been going on, Polygon will be the next chain onboarded on the network. So subgraph developers or subgraph people who have deployed their Polygon subgraphs on the hosted service will be able to migrate their subgraphs from the hosted service to the Graph network, and will be able to enjoy the great QoS that the Graph network has been giving with the really fast syncing speed and the benefits of decentralized querying. So that was announced there, and people really loved the Polygon community that is also very big in India, really loved what we announced, and that got people really excited for the hackathon, which started on the 2nd of December, which actually like to give you a little bit stats or throw a little bit stats out of the park. I would say it was a conference or a hackathon which was highly guarded. I could see 2,000 people hacking inside and at least 300, 400 people waiting outside, and many could not get a pass. So it was a really, really anticipated event by a lot of developers of India, and only 2,000 of them, I think 20,000 applied, and only 2,000 could get a space in the hackathon or could participate in the hackathon. And to be honest, uh, there were really high quality devs that I found, and about 480 projects were submitted in that particular hackathon. So ETHIndia became not just the highest attended hackathon that ETH Global had ever done, but also the most number of submitted projects that came in. I was really happy to find out that in the silver sponsors, we had one of the most number of project submissions. About 68 submissions out of 480 were done on the graph, or in their particular hack had used the graph, which was like really like great, and given the anticipation, it was really awesome. Talking about the a little bit, to be honest, there were at least 10 projects that we wanted to make winners, but we had a constraint that we could only give best new subgraphs to two, and two had to be given. Two could be given use of existing subgraph. The rest were given a pool prize. About 40 people, 40 teams were given a pool prize. But the ones which actually created a new subgraph, which was really great, was Cal 3. And they won the first prize in new subgraph. And using Cal 3, it was a really high, first of all, it was a new subgraph, which was, I don't know how did that team code it in 2 days, but it was a really, really heavy subgraph with all the templates, all the efficiencies, all the utilizations. And what it does is that in the DAO ecosystem, if you want to have a particular on-chain event, that can be added to your on-chain calendar. So it was kind of an on-chain calendar, which was really interesting. The second new subgraph category winner was Jiffy Scan, in which you can create Explorer on top of you can create an explorer on top of account abstraction model. So in account abstraction, it will all be smart contract events that will be firing, and you cannot use the current existing etherscan model. You'll have to create a new explorer, and that's where Jiffy Scan stood up. And for getting the data for the that particular explorer, the graph was heavily used at backend, so it was also a great project. For the existing subgraph winners, Griffin was the first one, which was in a way, using the Uniswap's current subgraph to create LP leaders, LP to find out the best LP position in different chains where Uniswap was deployed for a particular pair. The second prize was given to Flashbag, which is in a way using the Awave's current subgraph that's deployed, finding out the best best APY opportunity in different multi-chain aggregator ecosystem. So it was all in all a great hackathon that the graph was happy to witness and also sponsor. And two worth mentioning projects that came out of the also came out of that particular hackathon that we could not give prizes to was one created by a team which actually made a bridge between Cosmos and the graph, so you could transfer data as well as you could transfer messages between Ethereum and Cosmos EVMOS using the graph, in which the graph node played a really important node name and game. And the other one was I would say like it was also a project in which you could do freelance work for Web3. So it was a great project and a great great all in all event and side events that the graph was a part of. And we got a great reception and understood that given that India has a really big developer market, the graph is growing in India, and the developer ecosystem of the graph in India is second to none. and we want to expand that more by encouraging more DAO participation in the graph. Also, graph advocates to come to the graph and build upon it, and we might also want to have more subgraph DAO members to be coming from India, given that we identified a few in the ETHIndia hackathon. So I would end by saying that uh, the the bootstrapping phase of Indian community for the graph has been done, and now we would want to expand and make people love the graph even more and go deeper by having more representation of the graph of India and the Indian developer ecosystem in the graph ecosystem in general.
Amazing. That sounds like a really, really good plan for 2023, doesn't it?
100%.
Yeah, let's go for it. I see one of the advocates, Uiwal, here as well. He wanted to do a big push on Graph India too, so that's really, really good. So hopefully we'll get that going in 2023. It sounds like it's already on rolling, so let's keep that going. Thank you so much, Pranav, for sharing all of that information. So for the next segment, Reem, who is one of the ecosystem managers at Graph Protocol, was going to talk about Web 7 and 8 grants and changes to the Graph Grants program. However, Reem is in Dubai and cannot access Discord, but she shared her updates with us. So I would like to invite Christina to share Reem's updates to you guys.
Awesome. Okay, so Reem sent me some information. I'm just going to read what she has here. As you may have read in the Wave 7 blog post, the Graph Foundation will be approaching grants differently in the new year. The Foundation believes that this approach is on the path to further decentralization and fair distribution. Further decentralization also means that community impact and use would determine grant valuation funding for a contribution already being utilized within the ecosystem. In the past, the Foundation would fund the grant based on completion and deliverables. Moving forward, the Foundation will evaluate projects and ideas once they have been shipped and proven to provide substantial value to the community. Above all, it is necessary that any contribution funded by the Foundation is open source. This is extremely important and valuable as funding goes into projects. There are cases where teams don't have the bandwidth or commitment to complete the agreed upon deliverables, and the ideal scenario is to have another team pick it up where it left off. Criteria that the Foundation will look at consist of one or more of the following. Participants reached, an example, taught a 4-week course with 1,000 students. Conversation to the ecosystem, example would be number of certified subgraph developers that are now participating and contributing in the ecosystem. Practicality and usefulness, examples are developers using your tool. Is it buggy or easy to navigate? Originality, for example, developing standard content will not be funded as there are multiple resources available for content already created. You are welcome to apply as you usually would for a grant. However, it would be immensely help fast track your grant funding if you apply and you're prepared to share success and sentiment from the community. If you have any questions, feel free to ask Reem from the Graph Foundation.
Thank you so much for sharing that update, Christina.
Sure.
For the next segment, I would like to invite Gabriel Gonzalez. He is one of our Graph advocates, and I would like him to talk about the bootcamp in Buenos Aires, where Graph advocates work together with Protofire.
Yeah, hello everyone. Well, I have a presentation. I will show the presentation in the chat. I will try to present my screen, but if I can't, you can see the presentation on your own computer. Let me try. You see my screen?
Yeah, that works.
Awesome, great.
Oh no, the presentation dragged off the screen.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. Yeah, there we go.
Awesome, great. I will be talking about the Graph Bootcamp. The Graph Bootcamp was held on December the 1st in Huerta Co-working and Space in Palermo, Buenos Aires in Argentina. There were more than 60 people enrolled. We chose 20 participants to participate there, and we have more than 8 hours of intensive Web3 technical onboarding. Well, this is Diego Torres. He's field CTO from Protofire. He was talking about how important it is to have distributed computing. After that, that's me. I've been talking about blockchain. I've been talking about general concept of blockchain, how a blockchain is generated, what's a hash. From zero to fully understand how a blockchain works. Um, After that, Luca, who's an experienced developer we have in Protofire, he was talking about what's Ethereum, about smart contracts. He developed some examples live, and he also explained what are the limits of those smart contracts in terms of paying gas. If the contracts want to store all the information there, they have to pay a lot of gas for using those smart contracts. And after that, we did a break. In the break, we had the opportunity to do some networking and to talk each other and to talk with people from the community. There were different developers with different skills there, people more experienced, and most of them coming from Web 2, so it was really nice to meet them. After that, this is Luis. Luis is a Sabraf developer. Luis was explaining people about how important and how the graph is solving the issues that smart contract has in terms of storing information in the smart contract, and how they can retrieve that data from the blockchain directly. It was really interesting because there were many questions about that. And he did a couple of examples and encouraged them to develop subrafs, and he showed how the different parts of the subraf work together. After that, Jorgelina, who's a graph advocate, and Brian, who's the person in charge of running the indexer node in Protofire. They talked about how the protocol decentralization works. They talked about the different roles. They talk about the indexers, collectors, and delegators, and how all the tokenomics work together in order to make this protocol decentralized. Then Luis talked again. He showed an example of a front end consuming data from the subraf, and they show how easy it is to implement for every developer, even for developers from Web 2, to develop some statics graph using data from the subraf. At the end, this is Johan. Johan is also part of our DevOps. He talked about how people can run an indexer using Docker technology. That was very interesting too. I'm not sure if I'm missing something. Here is Jorgelina and Luca. If I miss something, please feel free to share with the community. Okay. Well, I will share. There's a short video. I already shared the presentation, so you're going to be able to see different just small shots from every single talk we made there. So, and if you have any question or you have something to ask or to share, here you can find, if you scan the QR, you're able to find further information. I mean, it's the same that I already said, but there you can see some interviews to the people who were attending the bootcamp, and also there were some comments from the team. There was just one of the videos is in English. The rest of them are in Spanish because well, the whole bootcamp was held in Spanish. So thank you very much, and that's it.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I just love that there were so many graph advocates involved as well. It's so great to see everybody all over the world working together to really, really build this community. So once again, thank you so much, Gravio, for explaining all of this.
Thank you.
All right, for our last segment, I would like to invite Christina Mills, a graph advocate and member of GRTDataHub, who will give us a recap of the achievements of GRTDataHub in 2022.
Awesome. Hi, everyone again. And can you see my screen? I've shared my screen here.
Yep, that works for me.
Awesome. So for any newcomers today, I'm Christina Mills, a graph advocate and AdvocatesDAO member, and I'm excited to share a few highlights from a very exciting 2022. Just launching the Advocates program was filled with so much energy and excitement from the community, and it's really amazing to look back at all the advocate applications that we've reviewed and the interviews where we had the opportunity to meet individuals that are now advocates. And since the launch of the DAO, about 9 months ago, we have grown the Advocates program to 222 advocates, and including 42 DAO members in over 55 countries across the world. We've seen some really amazing advocate contributions. As Juliana mentioned, 107 text translator advocates have translated and proofread over 338,000 words since the start of the program. 176,000 words of the Graph website have been translated into 12 different languages, and Japanese and Urdu will be coming soon. The DAO has approved over 678 advocate hours and distributed over $12,800 in advocate reimbursements, mostly helping event evangelists and Web3 welcomers host and attend events and hackathons. For example, like we were just talking about, we had advocates hosting all these Graph birthday party celebrations and in 6 locations all around the world this weekend. Technical teachers have started this project creating subgraph documentation for different protocols. So far, they've completed 19 protocols with AdvocateSDAO written documentation that are live, and another 4 that are pending the protocol's review. They've also set up this form to request subgraph documentation. So if a protocol wants to have subgraph documentation written for them, they can go to sgdocs.graphadvocates.com and request there. Another favorite and amazing contribution from a technical teacher is the Code Along with Alex. Which is a learning community covering topics like Docker and Kubernetes, Rust, Python, Linux command line for beginners, titles like that. Our content creators are making infographics and publishing blog posts and Medium articles. One advocate started a weekly newsletter that spotlights an advocate each week, highlights upcoming events and the latest happenings and metrics in the Graph ecosystem, and now they're on issue number 20, which was just published last week. We've got community care advocates providing support on so many different platforms, Telegram, Reddit, Discord. Wherever you find people talking about the Graph, you'll find our community care advocates there to help. Most recently, we've seen community care providing MIP support in regional channels like Spanish, Chinese, and Russian communities on Telegram. And stepping back a little bit to some of the DAO-wide highlights and initiatives, one of the first things that we did was to publish a community calendar where anyone can subscribe to stay up to date with what's happening in the Graph ecosystem. The DAO also continues to host monthly advocate role chats for contributors in each role to come together to welcome newly onboarded advocates and also discuss ideas, share feedback, and unblock any obstacles. And of course, today is the 8th community talk hosted by the Graph Advocates DAO. And just recently, we opened up the planning calls to advocates so that they're going to be helping to coordinate with us as well. And another highlight would be that we've had ecosystem members host a total of 18 learning series events for Graph Advocates since the launch. That included introduction courses for many of the core dev teams in the Graph, and these titles like querying and indexing smart contract data with the Graph and how to participate in the Graph as a non-technical contributor. Lots of really amazing information for advocates to learn and grow within the Graph ecosystem. And more lately, there's been a lot of focus on the second pillar of the DAO, the Community Grants Program, which processes grants up to $20,000. The AdvocatesDAO passed the first community grant proposal about 2 months ago, and since then we have fully funded 6 community grants for a total of about $21,000. We have another 6 grants totaling about $66,000 that have passed voting and are partially funded. We have $9,500 in the voting phase and another $2,000 that has been reviewed by grant committee members and recommended to the DAO. So the total of all that is about $98,500 in grants that are either recommended, in voting, partially funded, or fully funded. So we're really excited about the progress we've made there in just a couple months. Looking forward to 2023, language support is definitely the next big focus for the Advocates program. We've found our footing with our systems in the Advocates program and the Community Grants program, and we want to expand advocacy to non-English speaking individuals now. The DAO passed a language support proposal about a month ago, and just last week launched the very first phase, which includes support for Dutch, Spanish, Ukrainian, and Russian in our Discord server. I'm also really excited about equipping advocates with the tools and resources to grow the ecosystem and seeing the creative ways that we can find solutions to make the process better for everyone along the way too. We will also do our first quarterly review of advocate contributions and distribute advocate grants to those advocates that have really gone above and beyond. And of course, we want to continue to grow the Advocates program and distribute more community grants. And finally, we're really hoping to polish up our website as well. And for anyone looking to get involved, the Advocates program really has a place for everyone that's passionate about the Graph and Web3. So if all this sounds exciting to you, you can apply to be an advocate at apply.graphadvocates.com. You can follow us on Twitter at Graph Advocates. And you can find the link to our Discord server in the bio and Twitter, and of course read more about the Advocates program by going to thegraph.com/advocacy. And any community member can apply for a community grant at grants.graphadvocates.com. And finally, I just want to close by wishing everyone a Happy New Year and all the best in 2023.
Thank you so much, Christina. That's really the spirit, right? To close it off with a Happy New Year. We have about 5 minutes left, and to close off this year and this last community talk, I would like to ask all the speakers and everybody in attendance the following question. How are you planning to contribute to the Graph and Web3 in the following year? If you are not a speaker, you could leave your answer in the chat room. And if you are a speaker, I would like to go first, and then afterwards, feel free to jump in. So for me, I would really love to attend multiple hackathons next year and be the community care person or community care advocate at those events, and also fully take care of my role as a community care advocate in all of the chat rooms. And I just hope to meet a lot of new people and meet all the people that I find really cool in the ecosystem in real life again next year. So if there are any other speakers that would like to speak up, please share what you're planning to do. Lorena, what about you?
Well, thank you so much. For me, this year was a great opportunity to meet many people in different countries, in different roles for the Graph ecosystem, and I hope next year will be better than this year, and we have many new ideas to increase the community and related with me in Latin America. So I hope to meet with many people in Latin America and in other different places too. So I hope next year have many opportunities for all of us, and I want to ask now what all of these attendants want to see in the graph in next year, because you Christina, or you mentioned connects, it's a new subgraph, and we have many notice many many news in the ecosystem, and I suppose next year will be many news in the way of decentralization. So that is what I want to see next year: more community, more decentralization, and try to show what the graph is. Thank you.
Amazing. I would like to hear a couple more people, and I'm going to call people out because I think it would be very cool to hear their answer. Pranav or Paolo or Slim Chance, what about you guys?
I would say I'm really excited about the graph network. And I would say, like, from last year, the graph network on Ethereum standalone has grown exponentially. And initially, we were migrating 10, 20 subgraphs a month. And as the graph network improved on the QoS and the sync speed, and the indexers ramped up on, giving correct queries in a very fast time, uh, we just had 500 subgraphs deployed on the network last month, and this month, like today, we got like about 600 subgraphs deployed on the network. So I'm really excited to see, as the graph network has grown. I'm really excited to see the exponential growth of the graph network even more as the network grows multi-chain, and we have Gnosis, Polygon, and other chains coming to the graph network in general. So I'm really excited about the graph network and the cross-chain MIPS, orientation and initiative that the graph ecosystem is taking. Other than that, I'm really excited to see the Firehose software developed by Streaming Fast pan out and its adoption in different graph clients. And I would be working mostly on the graph network adoption in general, and also evangelizing the APAC Web3 community, and on the graph and Web3 in general. So yeah, that's about me.
Amazing. We have time for one more person. Is there anybody that would like to share their plans for 23?
I can share.
Yeah, nice.
So, first of all, as a Sabraf developer, on my case, I would like to keep working with the latest technology available, and also in Web3, because I share most of the values of Web3. That mean empower people, decentralization. So I want to keep building software with these values. And as a graph advocate, it's I love to learn new things, and all the time the graph allows me to learn how different protocols work. Just building the subgraph is the best way for learning how things work under the hood. The thing there is also being able to share with the community the new things that I'm learning all the time. So yeah, I would like to keep building and keep teaching what I learn.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Gabriel. All right, guys, we're going to end up this last call of 2022. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. Make sure to apply for graph advocacy because it's really, really cool. And I hope to see you guys in January again. So once again, thank you all the speakers and thank everyone for being here. And hopefully see you guys next year. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Have a nice year.
Thank you. Bye.